This right here gonna be a cakewalk.
Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today we're going to talk a little bit about Tekken 8 and Marvel Tokon and how these games are kind of going head to head. I mean, in a way, all fighting games truly are, because tournaments is kind of, you're fighting for that top spot. Which tournaments are going to headline the event? And with Tekken 8 not doing so well, with so many other hype fighting games coming out, the competition is rising. But before we get to that, one, if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. And also for everyone else, leave a like on the video if you can. Since I'm a small content creator, you can hype the video and that will help out as well. But something that I did recently on Twitter is kind of a tradition. Going all the way back to 2024 when Tekken 8 first came out, I decided to do a My Tekken 8 Influencer tier list. And this was just something that I did in the spur of the moment, kind of taking inspiration from some of the bigger content creators like the Kai Cenats and Aiden Rosses and XQCs. Those guys also do tier lists for their sphere of players. So I was like, let's do one for Tekken. And so far, I've been keeping it up every single year. You're looking at 2024 right now. This one got a lot of attention, and also it kind of ruffled some people's feathers. Same thing with 2025. Here's a different variation, but this time it has so many people on the list. And then just recently today, I did 2026. And there's a lot of new names on here. And I also tried to be very careful with how I position them, because the first two times I kind of just did it for a meme. But the third time I wanted to have it be a little bit more set in stone. But also, this isn't really like judging these guys and like saying who's good or who's bad. I mean, it kind of is, but it's not really. Like, this is just a celebration of everyone and showing how everyone is kind of progressing and which creators are popping up. Like when you see your new favorite streamer pop up on the tier list, and then when you see some people disappear off, and you kind of realize like, wait, they did stop playing Tekken, they did stop playing in season 2. So it's just kind of like that trend. Maybe I'll keep it going for next year, but for right now, this is what I put. If anything, take it as motivation if you're a content creator, a streamer, a Twitter user. And I was also considering for next year whether or not we should dive into the world of TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook, because that's a whole different realm when you talk about tech and what's going on. Regardless though, for all the content creators who make contents about this game, either now or in the past or maybe in the future, hopefully the game gets better, because the game kind of slowed down momentum for everyone. With all the controversy and with all the bad decisions, it really killed the hype and the motivation for this game. I mean, just going back to what happened at launch. First off, Tekken 7 sold 12 million copies, and then Tekken 8 sold 1 million copies day one in pre-orders. In the first week, they sold another million copies. That's 2 million in the first week. And about time the month was over, they sold 3 million copies. Now, the developers have not gave us an update on where their sales are at, but just that start alone was groundbreaking. At that time, it was selling faster than Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat. And we know that those games are at 8 million for Mortal Kombat and 7 million for Street Fighter 6. So Tekken 8 was doing was selling faster than, better than them. And they killed all the momentum with the decisions that they made. And then with the developers leaving, the head guys, players are really feeling kind of like dissociated with the franchise and not really knowing where we'll go next. So hopefully the future can be bright for all of us content creators, so the people who are investing their time and effort into it can have something to look forward to. But speaking of looking forward to, tournaments. Now, for those of you guys who are unaware, EWC is a major tournament, and Tekken 8 has been a part of it since the beginning. But if the rumors or the predictions are true, that may come to an end, because Tekken 8 signed a contract with those guys, and we don't know how many years those contracts is supposed to last for. But Esports World Cup is ran by Saudi, and Saudi did another event called Esports Nation Cup, and Tekken 8 is not a part of that. Now, we don't know why it's not a part, but all we could think about is what happened since then, and that's all of the controversy. That's the loss in hype, that's the loss in motivation, because Street Fighter and Fatal Fury are still on EWC ENC. So we'll have to see how this Tekken 8 EWC perform. With Ninja Killer being a part of it, a lot of people will tune in and watch. Maybe that will give it a boost in momentum so it can stay there for maybe another year. Give Tekken 8 some more opportunities to come back and survive. But as for right now, who knows? Speaking of another tournament though, CEO is coming up very, very quickly, and there's a lot of streamers and a lot of pro players who are looking to go into this. A post here is made to Twitter from CEO, and it says CEO leaderboards as of today. Competitors registration ends July 31st, so you have a couple of more days to get in there. A lot of returning games already passing previous year's numbers, and as this year's shaping up to be the biggest CEO in history. And now you have all the games listed, or at least the top ones, 1 to 9. And of course, Street Fighter 6 is reigning supreme. That game is on a different level. They definitely succeeded in getting a new audience where a lot of the other games failed. And we're not even talking about fighting games. We're just talking about other games not being able to get the next generation of players. Street Fighter did. Whether or not it's because they put their game on Switch, they did the Fortnite collaboration, which was huge for them, or whether or not their game is just really exciting, goonified, whatever the case may be, they still claim top one spot. Normally, top two would be Tekken 8, but this time around, that is not the case. Marvel Tokon, the game that is not out yet, the beta is coming up very soon, is already in the second place. Now, this is the first time that Tekken 8 has been surpassed by a different game. I mean, last year for a tournament, we were talking about Guilty Gear Strive being ahead. They did their really good update where they nerfed a couple of things that the players were requesting, and their player count shot up above Tekken 8, and Tekken 8 was way under them. And people were, of course, taking jabs at Tekken 8 and talking about how Tekken 8 is dying, and you had all the memes and the whole song and dance being done. But Tekken 8 over time risen up, especially with the announcement of Yujiro, release of Kunimitsu, and the developers doing a couple of updates that they did. The game risen up. Guilty Gear Strive over time got I won't say boring, but players just left the game. The number went back down to kind of where it was at pre-update. It went Street Fighter, Tekken 8, Guilty Gear. But now with Marvel Tokon, this is a very interesting game. I am personally very excited for it. I'm talking a little bit more about it in video games, especially after the announcement of Green Goblin and Blade. Those two characters are fantastic, and I am dying to play those characters. I really hope that this game does well because it being a Marvel IP, has the ability to bring in a totally new wave of players. And with the movies coming out, with Doctor Doom, Avengers, all of that stuff can just help fighting games to a whole new level. But the one thing about Marvel Tokon, they have to make sure they don't end up like 2XKO, which is 6th place on this list. 2XKO had a lot of hype and they had a lot of energy and people were super excited for it. But the game just took forever to get here, and about time it did, people just were not interested and they kind of were like not happy. There were some people who were talking about the balancing of the games, this, blah, 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 that. And there was just whispers and rumors all over the place. And then the developers announced that the development studio is getting cut in half, I believe, right? So that game just went down a dark path. Hopefully Marvel Tokon can go a little bit better. The game looks good. It sounds good. I hope it plays really, really well. And then Tekken 8, they need to get it together as well so they could be back on track, back on top. This game has so much momentum, even to this very day. I love the Tekken cartoon that they're doing. I love some of the decisions that they're doing, but the guys who made those decisions aren't here anymore. So the new leaders, even though the developers won't tell us who they are, the new leaders has to put in the work. So many people are once again making fun of Tekken 8 for being 3rd place instead of 2nd place. And really, I just think it speaks to what they lost. This game had so much potential after the end of Tekken 7, and it just kind of squandered so much of it. The story on Twitter says, CEO 2026 Fighting Game Tournament Leaderboard shows high registration for Marvel Tokon, Avatar Legends, and Street Fighter 6. I'm a big fan of the Avatar series. They have the new TV show coming out called Seven Havens or something like that. I'm interested in all of that, so I hope that this game does well as well. I never really will wish any fighting game does poorly. That's like not smart, right? Harada said it best. When one fighting game succeeds, they all succeed because they all are connected through tournaments and through their players. On the topic of Marvel Tokon and everything good that they're doing, we must acknowledge the bad. Marvel Tokon and a lot of these games like Invincible Versus, they are very active on Twitter and it's a big part of their marketing campaign. One of the tweets that Marvel Tokon recently made got a little bit of backlash because it's kind of promoting the idea of one and dones, which we know Invincible Versus struggled a lot from. And I believe there was one developer, I believe it was the Marvel Tokon developer, who said it on stage like, don't want it done in our games, please. So to have their Twitter account say, what? First to 10? Real ones know first to 1 is the way. Now, assuming, and I could be wrong, please correct me in the comment section if that is the case. But since they have a picture of Deadpool, I would assume that they're saying that Deadpool is breaking the fourth wall and he is the one who's giving this statement. And a lot of people dislike that because one and done is a real problem in all fighting games. I think the set should be mandatory best of three. Like there should be no except the match. The match should just automatically start. Like for example, Marvel Rivals and other competitive games, you get an opportunity to both defending and also attacking. You get an opportunity to play in different maps and different environments, because if you go up against a king on a stage that has multiple floor breaks, you're at a huge disadvantage. Other competitive games know to give you a best of three scenario because that's the best way to maintain competitive integrity. Fighting games should start making it mandatory, because for people who say they don't have time to do it, I call BS to that. Because if you look at games like Marvel Rivals and Fortnite, Call of Duty, some of these other super casual or more mass appeal style games, the average time that a match lasts in those games is like 15-20 minutes. The average time of a Tekken match or a Street Fighter match is like 1 to 2 minutes, maybe 3 if it goes down to the wire. So you mean to tell me that you can't double that 3 minutes to 8? Yes, you most certainly can. It shouldn't even be a question. It shouldn't even be a conversation. And the sooner fighting games realize that, the sooner that this one and done conversation could be a thing of the past. It's an unnecessary debate. It's unnecessary backlash. It's unnecessary controversy. Make it best of three, mandatory, and the stage changes automatically every single time. One more thing that I want to highlight, and this is a Marvel Rivals tier list, and I know that you guys don't play Marvel Rivals, but I do want to ask you guys a question as fighting game players, as Tekken players. So a character who's super easy in this game is Squirrel Girl and Wanda. These two characters are the easy mode characters in this game. And what I love about Marvel Rivals is that the easy mode characters are the weakest. For the fighting game players, how do you guys feel about this? This is how fighting games used to operate. Like in Tekken 7, some of the easy characters were not tournament viable at all, but Tekken 8 is kind of going a different route where they want everyone to be viable and everyone to be, able to dominate. And that definitely is the case where every character pretty much has won a tournament. People have been saying that Kazuya has been low tier, Devil Jin has been low tier, and then those characters win tournaments or they perform really well. You have things about like Lee being really weak, but then you have pro players now saying he's top 5. Every character is very, very strong in this game, but I would say that not every character needs to be strong. Like for example, Yoshimitsu, he was once described as a work hard for nothing type of character, and that was for a good reason. Someone asked Terada in the past, why is Yoshimitsu low tier in every game? And he said because Yoshimitsu needs to be low tier. His toolkit is so insane and so crazy, you can't give him fundamentals, you can't give him combo damage, you can't give him real setups. You got to make him work hard for his wins so it to be fair. And with other games, they seem to understand that concept, but for Tekken, they don't really understand it. So it's just interesting to see that some of these other competitive games are once again doing things right, and then you have the fighting games, they're just missing the mark in so many ways.